Welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire, powered by ShirtAgency.com. Get ready to take a trip inside the apparel industry for the best tips, tricks, and interviews. And now, here's your host, Cole Lundstrom.
Hello. So, on this week's episode, we're going to be talking to Nabeel, and Nabeel owns Lane 7 Apparel. Lane 7 Apparel is this fleece company that we've been using for about 3 years now, and it's really been growing. So I wanted to learn more about what he did to get here, because it really is just coming out of the mind of Nabeel. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and if you're interested in taking the screen printing class, we have a few spots open for December, and you can check that out at screenprinting.com. Just go to the Learn tab, and you'll be able to find the classes there. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the episode.
All right, so I am here with Nabeel from Lane 7. Nabeel, first thing is, how in the world did you get into creating all of your fleece products? How did Lane 7 start?
Well, very, very long story. I was sort of pushed into the business when I was 16 years old. I was doing things that teenagers do, so my dad said, you go to school, you come back, and if you want, you can work here. I started for a couple of months, and then things just got really, really interesting. And at one point, I just wanted to learn it all. So, we've had that sourcing business in Pakistan for a very long time. My father sort of pushed my career into different departments, doing everything. So I can proudly say at this point that the only phase of production that I haven't done or looked at myself is that I haven't picked cotton myself. Everything else I've done, from spinning to knitting to dyeing. I've actually sat on a production floor. I've actually sat on a sewing machine, and I've actually sewn clothes myself. I started working in a sourcing agency, and I worked in a lab over there, and then...
Over there in Pakistan?
Over there in Pakistan. And then from there, I joined a manufacturing company, where I had to spend about 4 or 5 months in their spinning department, their knitting department, then their dyeing department. Then eventually, I did not have to be actually on the sewing floor, but that was something that really interested me, to see how it works. And that's when I requested them, that I actually want to sit on a sewing floor and, sew clothes myself. I did that for about a week. And then I was the floor manager over there.
How old were you at that time when you were the floor manager?
I was about 19 years old.
Oh yeah, you were young.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. It's just that I was still studying. I was trying to do it part-time, but it was just so interesting how you pick cotton, it turns into thread. When you go through spinning, how you knit it, and then dyeing is one of the most interesting departments. Is dyeing. You dye something with the same chemicals, with the same formula, with the same chemistry to it in the morning, and you dye the same. You use everything the same at night, and the shade would not be 100% the same. So
yeah.
So that got really that got me really interested in the whole production process.
The science of production.
Yeah.
So how did that evolve into you starting Lane 7 then?
So my very first venture was a denim line. My second venture was an Asian or Eastern ladies line, which was only it was centered around the cultural clothes in Pakistan or India. After that, I wanted to start a retail brand, which is when Lane 7 originally came about.
So you were going to go direct to retail with it?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I was. It was a huge mistake. I made a huge loss.
That's how you start.
Yeah, that's how you start.
You gotta eat it for a little bit to learn.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, in my very first venture at Lane 7, I lost all my savings. I practically lost every single time because I was trying to run a retail brand in the US, sitting in Pakistan, and that didn't work out too well.
Yeah. Well, the communication must be horrible trying to do it by email and phone.
And well, at that time, there wasn't Amazon or eBay or Etsy. There wasn't fulfillment. There wasn't BTG. There was nothing. And this is about easily almost 10 years ago. And I sat there thinking, what am I going to do? Because I eventually, I just went back to the whole sourcing company, and the name Lane 7 is quite interesting too. There's no characteristic or logic to it. It's just I couldn't come up with the name. And my house in Pakistan is on Lane 7.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah, that's what it is.
So it was the address.
Yeah, it's the address. And I just couldn't come up with something. And as I was driving back home, I was like, Lane 7, let's just do that.
Very meaningful. That's nice.
So then I got off the whole industry for about a year when I was doing my postgraduate degree. Then I went back to work, and our company, the sourcing company, had always been based on the East Coast. And when I had the opportunity, I moved to the West Coast to start those operations over there. I had eventually become the VP of sales and marketing and operations for my company. And our new project was to do on the West Coast what we've done on the East Coast. When I did come here, we started manufacturing for a couple of wholesale brands, some retail brands, and during that time, I realized that we are on the West Coast, and there's just so many people who want to start their own brand.
Yeah.
That's when I realized that there's this whole blanks industry. There's screen printing, embroidery, and in my research or just going through all the different brands, all the different wholesale clothing lines that are already here, I just couldn't understand, or I just couldn't find something that I thought was retail worthy. And when I say that, it's primarily focused on fleece.
So you felt like fleece was the huge hole in the market. People just weren't doing it quite right.
Yes. I found that everybody's trying to make t-shirt better.
Yeah.
And then there are good companies like Bella. They're producing amazing t-shirts, and I felt that a major chunk of whatever goes on in the wholesale industry is t-shirts. So everybody wants to focus on t-shirts, and it just felt like the whole fleece category has been ignored. And I kept looking at distributors. I kept looking at different wholesale companies, and the fleece was just passable. Everybody was satisfied with it, but they were probably satisfied with it because they did not see anything better.
So with all your experience, what was the difference in the process that you thought actually made your product stand apart when you moved into it?
Well, when it comes to, and I'm just talking about fleece here, when it comes to fleece, there's obviously one big company, and then there's a whole lot of importers or wholesalers who are on a lower level, and they weren't doing anything to improve the process. They did not have tech packs for their styles. They would just import, put it in a storage, and resell it, and then just call it a day.
So their quality control was almost non-existent?
There was nothing. I know companies who import. They don't have their own office over there. They don't have their own presence over there. And when I say over there, it means wherever they are producing there.
Which is normally where? Where is it normally produced? Like Guatemala or Honduras?
Well, when it comes to fleece, I believe the major producer is Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
And then China. A little bit of Bangladesh. Everybody flocks to Pakistan for the reason that their cotton is good, and the best dollar value on fleece is from Pakistan. So even when I was a part of a sourcing agency, a sourcing company, our 90% of our production was fleece. So then this is again something we joke about. We say, fleece is our baby. Fleece is where we know.
Yeah.
We can, that's our prowess.
So for the end customer who buys a Lane 7 hoodie, what do you feel like is the difference between that and like saving some money and getting a Gildan? What are the things they're going to see?
So let me start with this. We've been around for 4 years. For the very first time we brought Fleece in, we brought in a 70-30 CVC, 70% cotton and 30% polyester, which is way more premium than any 80-20 in the market right now. But we had to close it out. We lost money on it because the market just wasn't ready. They thought if it's not 80-20, then it's something inferior.
Oh, so they actually thought that your blend was cheaper. They just didn't understand the situation.
Well, they didn't want to buy it for cheaper either because, see, at that point we were just based out of, downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, you were still at Main Street.
Yeah, we just had a store. That was our selling point. And the people who come there are other wholesalers who wanted to buy from us, and resell it, or printers who wanted to buy from us, and they just did not understand the concept that 70-30 is better. So
why is it better? Is it the hand? Is it softer?
Hand, because it has more polyester.
So it's just like a smoother sweatshirt.
Yes. Yeah, actually, it's more softer inside.
Oh, the inside of the fleece.
The inside is more softer.
Okay.
And the shrinkage is just a little bit better because as opposed to 20% polyester, this has 30% polyester. And then we ventured into the regular 80-20. And even though I wanted to be different, even though I wanted to make it better, but from that very first experience, I learned that let's just do the basic hoodie, and let's just do the basic fleece, and see where we end up, or sort of penetrate into the market and have customers see how we are, even with a basic hoodie, even with a basic 2 and 80-20 fleece, we are better. So then came our regular fleece hoodie, and even though we have crew necks and zippers, hoodies are what sells the most. At that point, we sold 2N for 2 years, and every single, for 2 years we had some people come back on our t-shirts. They didn't like the quality or this, any number of reasons. But it's so amusing that for 2 years we did not have a single complaint. And one of the policies that we have at Lane 7 is we're never going to lie about a product. We're never going to say that it would perform a particular way when we know it won't. When we were starting in the market, everybody came in asking, "Hey, so do your t-shirts shrink?" And our answer was, "Yes, everything shrinks."
Yeah.
And it took a while for people to understand that no matter who you buy from, which t-shirt company you buy from, it will shrink.
Yeah.
The only way that a t-shirt won't shrink more than 3% is when it is panel washed. And that sort of just throws the whole price point away. It goes from a wholesale price point to a retail price point. And the same thing was true for fleece. Everyone that we sold fleece to, we told them that it shrinks 7 by 8%, which is standard. And they understood that. And even with our 2N fleece, based on my experience from our sourcing company, we were able to implement all quality assurance processes, all standard operating procedures right from the onset of when we started the company. So day one, when we started the company, we had tech packs. We knew how many stitches per inch we need. We knew what the stream strength should be. We knew what the flammability should be. And we just implemented all of that into every single one of our products. Did we make mistakes? Yes. Did we screw up on a lot of our styles? Yes, we absolutely did. 2014 was horrible for us. 2015 was when we did our first ISS show, and from then it has only been upwards. Uh,
You mentioned two-end. Could you explain the difference between two-end and three-end fleece?
there's a huge difference between 2N and 3N. Let me just start with saying this, that at this point we are probably one of the only 2 or 3 companies in the US or in the wholesale market who are actually doing 3N.
What exactly does it mean physically when you do the production? What is the difference?
So on fleece there are two layers. There's a front and the back. On a 2N fleece, there's 2 layers. There's one thread at the top and there's one thread on the bottom. And even with our 2N, and it's not just us, a lot of other companies do the same. We make it such that the front end is 100% cotton, which makes it more desirable for DTG, which is all the hype right now.
Yeah, your hoodie's DTG really good.
And that's just the 2N.
Yeah.
With 3N, we use 3 threads. There's the top one, there's a bottom one, and then in the middle we use another thread. And it's called a sandwich hoodie. It's called a tight knit hoodie, even though people use marketing gimmicks and they call their 2N hoodie a tight knit hoodie. But it's not really a tight knit hoodie. A tight knit fleece is basically 3N.
So when you switched to three-end, did it change your pricing a lot, or is the product pretty much the same price?
It's pretty much the same price. That's another one of the awesome things that we have done with our product line, is that we did not change the price too much. Yes, it did go up by a couple of dimes maybe.
But the quality's worth it. It's pretty
The
noticeable
quality
difference.
is so much more worth it. Other companies in the US who are doing 3N, they are achieving it in a particular way. We introduced 3N fleece in March 2017, and our R&D was about a little over 15 months.
Oh wow!
Just
For one new fleece.
Just for that one particular thing. And that's what we do here. Since we started in 2014, we have only ventured to see how we can make a product better. Which is why we started with our ring spun t-shirts, and then we immediately jumped onto all combed t-shirts. And on fleece, when we started this March, we knew that not only was our 3N different from everybody else, because we use our own mixture of threads. The 3 threads that we use are different from what others use. And then we put some kind of finishing to it, which makes it even plushier on the top, and the whole fleece has a lofty feel to it. And the best thing about a 3N fleece, is that it shrinks guaranteed under 5%.
Oh wow! And is that because there's just so much thread that it can't really shrink?
It's because of
weave's just very tight.
increased presence of polyester.
Okay. Will it still DTG nicely with the extra polyester?
It would DTG better than the 2N.
Oh, wow.
Because now there's a third layer between the top and the bottom, so the ink fall through is not as much. It still stays at the top, and the colors are more crispier. Whether you do a water-based print, glossy sole print, a DTG, it just prints better.
Wow.
And like I said, with a regular 3N fleece, the shrinkage would still hover between 6 and 7%. With a 2N fleece, the shrinkage hovers between 8 and 9 or 10%. Our 3N fleece has a guaranteed shrinkage under 5%. I mean, basically, on paper, when we did extensive testing on it, and every single time it did not go above 3%, but we guarantee 5%.
Wow. So what are you seeing? You're doing so many wholesale orders for companies. What are the cool usages people are doing with their fleece?
We've seen a lot of merchandising companies just immediately jump onto our 3N. It's I believe 50 or 60% of the usage is DTG.
So you're like the DTG hoodie.
We are the DTG hoodie.
Yeah.
We know that this year, at least two online giants have changed their suppliers from other companies to Lane 7.
Can you name them yet?
I'm
Are
sorry?
they secrets?
It is a secret.
Okay.
It is a secret. Consumers should start finding out
Yeah.
early February.
Oh, that's going to be
next
great.
year. Yeah. And with that said, of course, we have jumped onto a lot of fulfillment centers, and not only that, this has led us into newer markets. Starting February, we will be distributing our 3N hoodies in the UK and in the EU. We are working on starting distribution in Australia for the same 3N fleece. That's just a starting point for us.
Yeah. So you want to be global with Lane 7.
Yes, it was a distant plan, but with the way our customers have picked up on 3N this year,
It's not so
some
distant.
customers have wanted us to start distributing there as part of us coming on board. So we had to do it.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a blessing in disguise. We wanted to do it maybe 3 years from now, but we've been pushed into doing it right now, which is great.
What's going on with your new building? You moved in there, like 2 years ago. Are you already getting too big for it?
It's funny. 2 years ago, when I was signing the lease, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights.
How many square feet was it?
It was 15,000 square feet,
Oh, okay.
which is
yeah.
not much at all.
Yeah, that's like 3 shirt agencies, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, we were a relatively smaller company, and for us, it was a huge undertaking, and I practically lost sleep for 2 nights. I just couldn't sleep. I just thought that how in the world would we justify having a big space, and right now we're bulging out of that warehouse, and not only are we bulging out of that warehouse, we're currently using a fulfillment center just to house our products until we find a bigger space.
So you're so big, you already had someone else's warehouse start helping you.
We're using about close to 28,000 square feet outside.
So your new place is going to be 70,000 or something square feet?
Well, we're trying to be in the ballpark of 40,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of our goals for next year is having some distribution on the East Coast, and sort of be able to service customers nationwide from both ends and cut down on shipping times.
So getting off of Fleece for a second, but since it is winter, you guys have like a crazy new heavyweight long sleeve, right?
Yes, yes, that too is essentially crazy in that we've seen our customers and the whole, when you, for example, when you go on Instagram, you just go through all the different brands and all the different the streetwear and the whole where the whole industry is shifting to, and
Yeah.
you sort of see long sleeve becoming a year-round thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it
we-
seems extra trendy. We've been doing a ton of prints down the arms, and
Yeah, that's one of the things that
It's really
that one
trendy
of our
right
customers
now.
is doing.
Yeah.
That's one of the trends. Not only on the long sleeves though, even on our fleece, we see that trend coming in.
yeah, for sure.
And when we wanted to do 3N, the long sleeves, we had the option of doing a lightweight or a heavyweight, and I sort of felt that a long sleeve just looks better, it falls better, it just feels better with with a heavyweight fabric, and so we started doing our R&D on it, and we saw that in the market there's obviously the 18 singles, which is open end, and I often joke with everyone that I wouldn't wash my car with that fabric. So and then there are other companies who are using 20 singles, and in our we've always ventured to be a little different, just to go that one extra step to make it, even if it's just a little more better, then why not?
Mm-hmm.
So we experimented, and we came we came down to a 24 singles fabric to use on the long sleeve. And how it's different is, so it's still heavyweight, it's 5.3 ounce, but it's a little bit finer than a 20 singles. So it feels premium, but it still has that heaviness. It has that a little bit of roughness to it, as opposed to a 30 single combed, but it's not as rough as a 20 single.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty durable, right? Because it's a heavier shirt, so
it is.
You could sell it to even just guys who need it for work if they had to.
Absolutely. We do have some companies who are using our long sleeves now for their workwear. We know because our printers tell us they're giving it out to their workers. So they just put their company logo on the chest, and then you're good to go. We've had some schools use it too recently. Just with I can't remember what team they were using it for, but they just had the team number and the name of the player at the back. Mostly they're being used at retail stores right now. Both our 3-end and our 24 singles long sleeve is doing very, very well at retail.
Yeah.
So we have some clothing brands, some merchandising companies who are churning out a lot of brands and selling it to retail stores, and it's doing very, very well.
Yeah. It's interesting how that market has sprung up, because I feel like when I started, people were either doing promo or they were doing retail, and promo was total crap, and then retail was potentially custom. So a lot of people were even doing cut and sew even 10 years ago for a retail brand, and it's evolved where the wholesale market has filled that need. The idea of doing cut and sew now is, unless you have something really bizarre, there's kind of no point, because now there's companies that are doing retail quality, and all you have to do is print on top of it.
That's absolutely exactly what we feel. See, being on the main street in downtown Los Angeles, we would get about anywhere between 5 to 10 young guys walk in who wanted to start their own brand, and most of them would come in and say, "Hey, do you do any private label?" And then we would talk to them. We would practically spend an hour talking to them, even if they wanted to buy 2 T-shirts.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. And one of the things that people loved about us when we were in downtown was the fact that nobody would talk to them to see what they wanted to do. Nobody would sell them 2 pieces, but we were starting out. So, for us, it was like, okay, if you want to buy 2 pieces, sure.
Yeah.
But you never know. Some of these guys can really, really hit.
That's
big.
probably how we met, was something stupid like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then they always remember. When you help them, they always remember you. And so these guys, they always wanted to do cut and sew, and we would tell them, hey, you know what, you're starting out. Cut and sew is not the way to go. Unless, of course, like you said, they have something really bizarre, like half a T-shirt in one color.
And they know how to sell it.
Half of a T-shirt in one color and another half in another color.
There's so many people that have crazy ideas and have zero audience. So a big part of it is them even knowing how to sell it. Because we've done that here, where some of our customers have had crazy art, crazy jobs, everything. And then they never call again, not because we messed up, but because they didn't know how to get rid of the shirts. Like, they
Exactly.
didn't.
You don't want to be stuck
overshot.
with dead inventory.
No, it's the worst.
It's always best to just try and use what's in the market. And with all of these brands right now, it's just such a huge plethora, and there's so many options to go through. There's our T-shirt, and then there's the next guy's T-shirt, and then there's the next guy's T-shirt. We had people walk in who wanted a black T-shirt, custom made, and I would one of these guys I remember, and I said, why do you want a black T-shirt when we have a black T-shirt? Oh, well, I want the sleeve to be half an inch smaller.
Right.
I said, you're wasting money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at this point. Start with a black T-shirt, see if it works for you. If you have the right kind of numbers, then you can make it a quarter of an inch smaller if you want it that way. So yes, it's always better for for newer guys to not carry inventory and just use what's available in the market.
Yeah, especially with print on demand. I mean, we have some customers right now that are doing like more than 6 figures in a drop, and they're doing it with everything off the shelf. They're just printing art on it, and then their retail sales will break 100,000, and they'll do it in 2 or 3 weeks, and it's just because of them being smart about cost, decent art, and then them having an audience. Having the audience is normally the reason they can move the big numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is again one of the things that we learned being on Main Street, is that a lot of these people, they walk in, they want T-shirts for $1.25. Like, the only way you can get it is if you just go beyond the traffic light, and you'll find a whole market that's selling IRR.
Mm-hmm.
But do you really want to start your brand using an irregular T-shirt? Yeah. And what kind of positioning are you giving to your customers?
I've seen a lot of that. People will actually pay us more to print, but they show up with irregulars because they bought 200 shirts and they paid $200, and then we tell them like, what? Why? Yeah, I mean, weird sleeves, sizes that don't make sense, weird necks. It's a weird decision to make.
It's so coming back to where we started. People have, or newer brands should get off of the mentality that cheaper goods always mean that they can make more buck.
Yeah.
If because that's what they think. If our cost is lower, we can make more buck.
But you can't sell it for $20 anymore because people can tell that they don't want it.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, you have $5 T-shirts retail.
And quite honestly, when we started, we had to do it. We had a value T-shirt, we had value fleece, and I was not fond of it.
Mm-hmm.
We made a lightweight fleece, which was 7.1 ounce. But for me, quite personally, anything below 8.25 ounce is not worthy of being called fleece. Now, do I know that there's fleece out there, there's lightweight fleece out there that's absolutely amazing? Yes. Are we doing something that's lightweight next year? Yes.
So it's coming. A new version's coming.
A new version is coming.
But more premium. Yeah.
We're introducing a French terry because everybody seems to be jumping on.
You know who effed that up? It's American Apparel. They were like the French terry kings until their world blew up, and French terry basically doesn't exist in the market right now.
It doesn't. 2 or 3 different companies have started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the amazing thing. Now, you have to understand that at Lane 7, our culture is always. It's not always just. It's not always just creating the newest thing, and neither are we trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to make everything better.
You want to fulfill the need.
Yes, and eventually, in a broader sense, I feel that if Lane 7 has introduced 3-end fleece in the market, people will follow suit, and then I hope in the next 2 years everybody does 3-end. Not to say that hey, I'm inviting competition for ourselves, but it's just a better thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Why people always stuck to 2-end fleece was because until recently, the wholesale industry and the promotional industry were interchangeable. Everybody thought that wholesale means promo or cheap. But wholesale does not necessarily need to mean cheap. It has to be retail quality, which I know some companies are pushing the whole retail quality concept now.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, which is good.
That's Bella's game basically right now. Yeah.
And I absolutely love what Bella is doing with their concept of creating retail quality. And for us, it's sort of like that's a good concept, and that's what we are doing now. The only where we are different, or maybe what our core philosophy is, to make it retail quality, it has to be a better quality. So every single product that we do it goes through a very, very rigorous quality assurance protocol. We work at AQL 2.5, which is the acceptable quality level. It goes from 1 to 5, 5 being the most lax, 1 being the most stringent. We have our own SOPs. We only work with ethically and socially responsible factories. We do not cut corners. We don't work with B-grade factories. And the reason for all of that is that for 17 years, and I've been in this field for 17 years now, and for 17 years, all I've done is belong to a sourcing company where I was working with the highest and biggest brands in the US and the UK, and I've learned from them social compliance, quality assurance, and we've sort of implemented that whole philosophy into our brand. And we have our own office in Pakistan. We have our own 17 people strong quality assurance team.
And you go out there quite a bit still.
I do. For a while there, I had not gone back for 8 or 9 months, but that was because we were building this thing at Lean 7. We were going through a lot of changes. This year we completely eradicated all the lower end stuff. We completely got done with styles that were meant for the promo industry. Not to say that we don't still cater to the promo industry.
Well, they can have nice products. I mean, the promo industry can evolve. I mean, you making a better product doesn't mean they can't buy it.
Basically, we're just not into that whole race to the bottom anymore.
Yeah.
We're not trying to create a product, a t-shirt that's cheaper than the guy next door.
Yeah, that's smart.
The guy next door can have that business. Because we just don't feel right selling an inferior product. Which is why continuously for every single product, we have sought to make it better in some way or the other. Which has been a part of our whole introduction of 3N Fleece. We are changing our entire hoodie, our crew necks, our zippers to 3N. Coming back to the French terry, how are we going to be different? There are 2 or 3 companies who are introducing French terry right now. And again, how are we different? We're introducing 3N French terry that nobody else is doing. And it's amazing. It's practically even, I usually don't just, oogle over my own product. But for me, the best thing that we have done is the 3N Fleece. And the French terry is really beautiful because we did it in 3N and soft. It has a very nice fall to it and it's lightweight. Is going to be about around just a bit shy of 7 ounce. And there's the 24 singles long sleeve. And one of the greatest things that we did this year was our vintage line.
The vintage line is cool. Hey, is that all being done in the dye process? It's like the same hoodie and then it's dyed differently, or?
Well, no. For 2 years we ran a mineral washed black and a mineral washed denim on a regular t-shirt, and it did really, really well. And I cannot remember a single time in the past 2 years that we haven't been sold out. No matter what amount of t-shirts we would bring in, we would sell out. And then earlier this year I said, these 2 colors have run its course. We need to do something more. So we introduced 3 more colors in the vintage line, a vintage mustard, a vintage brick, a vintage olive, and we stuck with the last 2 colors, the denim and the black.
Yeah.
And then we introduced a fleece hoodie, a raglan hoodie in it, and we introduced a scallop bottom t-shirt in it, and we obviously stuck to the t-shirt. And the fleece is different. It's not 3N, it's 100% cotton. So when it's just 100% cotton, there cannot be 2N or 3N. There's no concept of 3N, 2N, 3N. It's just 100% cotton. Why we did 100% cotton is we learned a lesson from what other people were doing, and then we eventually learned it ourselves, was when you make it a cheap value cotton or a CVC, like an 80-20 or a 60-40, and then it goes through 5 different processes and a rigorous washing, the cotton at the top is sort of flimses down, and the polyester from the bottom starts coming up. It starts feeling like a heather hoodie, and it does not print as well because there's polyester at the top. So then we change the entire line to 100% cotton. And to answer your question of the process that it goes through, we make a blank, a PFD, a prepared for dyeing hoodie in 100% cotton fleece. Then it goes through dyeing. Then it goes through pH level testing. Then it goes through mineral washing, and we achieve that shade.
Is it hard to keep it consistent? That sounds like a harder dyeing process than normal.
The beauty of the whole vintage line is that it's not consistent.
So it kind of hides the point is that it's old, so it's okay.
Yes.
But what happens? Have you had like a college with that? Like I could see if you sold that to USC, they could be very concerned about it changing shades.
Well, we put a disclaimer tag on it that it washes away some of it. It makes it more vintage. You know, if you go to some retail store sometime, you buy denim, you buy shirts, and you see that disclaimer tag on it that says, you know, it ages with washing.
Yeah.
So basically, that's just a fancy way of saying it.
Yeah.
When you do a garment dyed product or garment dyed and then garment wash product, and to achieve that particular shade, and I am very finicky with it. If I want a particular shade, we will not introduce it until we reach that particular shade. So you wash it, but then you top it off a little more with red. We had this issue with brick. So if you wash our brick with a white t-shirt, the white t-shirt would become
pinky?
soft pink.
Yeah.
And which is why...
So you kind of double dyed it.
Yes, because we washed it, then we topped it off with dye again. But that dye...
Stupid plug.
And that dye was not baked.
Okay.
So when you dye a shirt or anything, it goes through a process where it's dyed, just like you guys do in printing. It goes through your dryer where there's heat, it sort of bakes into the shirt. The same thing happens with dyeing. But when you're mineral washing it and you're topping it off with a color, you cannot put it again in a baking process. So, you know, with washing, a little color comes off. But that's not the only thing. No two t-shirts, no two pieces of garment or apparel would be the same. That's just the beauty of it. And no other company right now that I know of is doing mineral washing like we are doing. For them, vintage is completely different. It's a heathery look, or you know, they call it what they wanted. But you know, we call it vintage because we just thought vintage was had a nice connotation to it.
Yeah.
But the mineral washing is very unique when it comes to our products.
Yeah, those products are great. I mean, I would imagine that bands would love it. It's perfect for bands or even just kind of old school like motorcycle companies, stuff like that. Seems like it'd be a great fit for them.
Where we are seeing the most is you'll see social media artists use a lot of our products. Then there are some music merchandise companies, like you said, bands. They use a lot of it. I believe our sales is working with us 2 or 3 different schools right now. Because, like you said, you know, USC, you know, that brick is very
it's
much
really
similar.
close to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We almost had a chance with Coca-Cola.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yes, but they were pretty adamant on
Coca-Cola
the tone
red.
of their red. They could not change it. They loved it, but they could not change it.
They weren't big enough to just make it for them?
No.
Even Coke's not big enough for you.
Well, see these things, the 3N fleece, the long sleeve t-shirts, the vintage, all of these are new. Well, on the vintage, new colors and a new product, which is the fleece. And we just have not been able to keep enough in the inventory.
So you're just selling out over and over?
Well, we are selling out. The long sleeves is good because we had a lot of shipments come in. But the 3N hoodie is crazy. It's just, we did not expect, and at one point, and we sat down and like, how much can we order? Because it's the first time. There's only so much that you can project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it the limitation of the manufacturing in Pakistan? They can't do more?
No, there's no limitation at all. I can bring in 100 shipments if I want to, but
But you need
For
the
us,
capital
it was
for
new. It was a new product, so we had to, you know,
Play it safe.
play it safe. And even then, we sort of went really big, especially with black. For the past 3 weeks, we're sitting without any smalls and mediums. And
That's great, though. So are you going to have new stuff in for the holiday rush, since a lot of people are putting in Christmas orders?
we have now had to air and stuff.
Oh, you have air shipments now.
We have air shipments on Fleece. You cannot imagine how
Expensive that is.
that is. It's expensive, but what are you gonna do? You know, you have to
Yeah.
cater to that, and then these customers, they say, hey, you know what? You ran out of these, but I cannot use somebody else now.
Right, because customers will see the difference.
Well, that plus they've just grown so much in love with how the 3-end hoodie prints that they just don't want anything else to be out there. One of the bigger companies that earlier on I told you about, the online retailer,
The secret.
the secret is, they one of their conditions is you cannot run out of these at all in any SKU that we're using.
So you're stocking it insanely deep.
Yes. So our stock right before ISS show in January is going to be insanely deep.
Are you talking, what does that even mean? Like 250,000 units or something? Or
Well,
100?
here's the thing. 2015, I'm so much in love with Fleece that I actually remember every single number. 2014, when we started, we brought in 6,000 hoodies in 3 colors. That's how Lane 7 started. And we bought t-shirts. We bought those ragged t-shirts from a local reseller and we resold somebody else's brand on t-shirts. So 6,000 hoodies the very first time. We sold probably 8,000 or 9,000 hoodies that year.
For the whole year?
I'm sorry?
That was the whole year?
That was July 2014 to December 2014.
I don't know if we were buying your hoodies yet.
No, you started late 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to Fleece, I remember all numbers. 2015, I believe we sold close to 17 or 18,000 hoodies. 2016, we sold 43,000 hoodies. This year, we sold about just shy of 400,000 hoodies.
400,000?
Yes.
So you went from 40-something thousand to 400,000.
400,000.
You 10x'd in 1 year.
Yes.
So what's the plan for next year? Are you planning on doubling it again, or?
Well, basically this year we got lucky because about some big customers switched to us, and then they had us ship directly to them. So we had a lot of shipments go there, with our label, of course, but still it was our product. But they all went directly to the customer's warehouse.
Yeah.
They didn't even come to us. Next year, we have a projection of anywhere between 600 to 800,000 hoodies. That's what we project to sell next year. How many we will end up bringing in, I don't know, because we are working with a lot of different companies right now.
That's massive growth.
It's massive. It's a good problem to have.
Isn't your team stateside still pretty small?
It's very small.
Don't you have like 20 people at your warehouse or something, or
Yes.
less than 20?
Yes.
You have that many units going out, and there's
A lot of that, like I said, a lot of that was directly, it came onto the port, got shipped directly to the customer. So we
Yeah.
never even touched it.
so you don't even need to
No.
handle anything.
No. And then for the past 4 weeks, for the past 4 months, the fulfillment center has helped us a lot. So we haven't needed to grow. A huge chunk of that, close to 400,000 units this year, was, like I said, direct to customers. So we had customers in the Midwest, we had customers in South Carolina, we had customers in Miami and New Jersey. We had customers in Colorado. So that's a huge chunk of that 400,000.
Yeah.
And I believe from our in stock, it's close to 150 to 175,000.
Just
which
stocked
again is
in the
huge.
warehouse right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of that has been in the past 4 or 5 months.
That's
And
amazing.
most of that has been from the fulfillment center. So we are growing exponentially fast, and we obviously have those growing pains. We are hiring really fast. Haven't been too lucky with that, but
Yeah, hiring's always fun.
it's another experience. It's another
Yeah.
ball game altogether.
Yeah, it's
Hiring
rough.
people.
Well, that's awesome. Before we wrap it up, why don't you tell people how they can get your product and how they can contact you?
Well, one of the things that I mentioned earlier on was, I did not travel because we were doing a lot of things at Lane 7. We, I believe in May, mid-May, we switched on to a completely different ERP system, which has an online ordering system. Basically, it's the Lamborghini of ERP systems in the apparel industry.
So customers can go to lane7.com and do everything automated?
Absolutely. You just go to lane7apparel.com. It takes you 5 to 10 minutes to fill out the form. You send it to us. You hear back from us the same day that your account has been approved. You log in, you order it. It's very, very streamlined, very, very fast, very quick and easy. And if there's anything, they can always call us, they can email us. We're very, very good with responding. It's really streamlined this year, which is
Awesome.
one of the reasons that our sales increased this year.
Yeah.
As soon as we went online, bam.
It's just easier to buy.
Yeah, I mean, we have customers order. It gets picked, it gets shipped out, and we don't even know about it. That's how streamlined it is.
Yeah.
If somebody wants 2 pieces, or somebody wants 20,000 pieces, it's just a very, very straightforward and streamlined process.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming by and talking about Fleece with me.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.